Friday, 4:57 p.m. Anna received an email with just 4 words: mandatory meeting, HR department. By sunset, she had lost her job. The man sitting 3 desks away received the exact same email. 6 years later, one of them became financially free. The other spent years just trying to recover. The strange part? It wasn't because one of them earned more. It wasn't because one of them got lucky. It was because of decisions nobody else ever noticed. Small ones. Quiet ones. The kind you forget you even made. Stay until the end, because the difference between them will surprise you. Meet Anna, 29, marketing executive. She lives on rent in a nice apartment she's proud of. She invests occasionally, whenever she remembers to. She's never had a reason to think seriously about money. Meet David, 30. Works in the same company, different department. Similar salary, similar lifestyle. He's not a finance expert either. He just happens to keep a small notebook where he tracks his spending, mostly out of habit. Neither of them is rich. Neither of them is careless. They're just ordinary. 2 ordinary people about to live through the exact same storm and come out on opposite sides of it. The company had been quiet for weeks. Hiring freeze, budget cuts. Everyone could feel something was coming. Anna's meeting comes first. Her entire department is being restructured. She's let go, effective immediately. David's meeting comes next. He keeps his job, but his salary is cut by 15%, temporarily, they say, until things stabilize. Same email, same afternoon. 2 completely different Fridays. What neither of them knew yet was that the real difference between their futures hadn't even started. It wouldn't come from this meeting at all. Anna panics, understandably. Rent is due in 10 days. She has some savings, but not much. She never quite got around to building a real emergency fund. She starts applying to jobs immediately, exhausted and scared. David sits down and does something less dramatic. He opens his notebook and looks at his emergency fund. 6 months of expenses he'd slowly built up over the past 2 years, almost by accident, just from not spending on things he didn't need. It's not much, but it buys him something Anna doesn't have right now: time. This is the first quiet fork in the road. Not stocks, not genius, just whether there was a cushion underneath them when the floor disappeared. But David's cushion wasn't going to last forever either, and soon even he would start to doubt himself. Anna spends the next 4 months job hunting. Many companies have frozen hiring too. She starts using her credit card to cover rent some months, telling herself it's temporarily. A close friend's wedding invitation arrives. Anna quietly declines. She can't afford the outfit, the gift, the flight. She tells her friend she's just too busy with job hunting. It isn't the whole truth. She starts avoiding her friend group's messages too. Everyone's talking about vacations and new apartments. She doesn't want to explain why she's gone quiet. It's easier to just disappear for a while. After her 11th rejection email, she sits on her bathroom floor and cries. Not just about the job, about feeling like she's falling behind everyone she knows, while pretending every single day that she's fine. David, still employed but earning less, starts spending his evenings learning a new skill he'd been putting off for years. Some nights, after a long day, he genuinely considers just watching TV instead. Most nights he pushes through anyway. Some nights he doesn't. He also starts freelancing on weekends to offset his pay cut. 3 months in, he almost quits. It's not making much money yet, the client feedback is harsh, and he's exhausted. He tells himself he'll give it 1 more month. Meanwhile, Anna, back in a job, is relieved but stretched thin, quietly paying down the debt she picked up during her gap. What Anna didn't know is that a small decision she'd almost forgotten about, one she made without even thinking, was about to matter more than anything else in this story. While all this is happening, the stock market has been falling too. It's the kind of environment where most people want nothing to do with investing. Anna sees her SIP is down. She almost stops it. She's stressed enough already. But something makes her leave it running, partly exhaustion, partly just not wanting to deal with one more decision that week. David stares at the same falling numbers. Part of him wants to pause his investments too, just until things feel safer. He almost does. Then he closes the app without touching anything, and opens it again the next morning with a different decision in mind. He increases his monthly investment slightly, not dramatically. He figures if he believed in these investments before prices fell, he should believe in them now that they're cheaper. He sticks mostly to broad index funds, a mix of many companies bundled together, rather than betting on any single stock. It's a boring choice. It's also one of the reasons he sleeps fine at night. But this wasn't the decision that would end up mattering most. That one was still coming, and it had nothing to do with the stock market at all. David does something simple that never occurred to Anna. He calls his landlord and asks if the rent can be renegotiated, given how many apartments nearby are sitting empty. His landlord, worried about losing a tenant entirely, agrees. Anna pays 18,000 rupees a month. David now pays 15,500, a difference of 2,500 rupees a month. It doesn't sound like much, but over 6 years, that difference alone, simply redirected into his investments instead of spent, added up to a meaningful chunk of what David would eventually build. He didn't get a raise, he didn't pick a winning stock. He just asked one question his landlord was fully prepared to say no to. Neither Anna nor David makes only perfect decisions here. Anna's instinct to help her struggling family, even while managing her own debt, is generous and human, even if it costs her. David's win here is almost accidental, but accidental or not, it compounds. Housing prices in their city have dropped noticeably during the recession. Anna, still recovering from her credit card debt, isn't in a position to buy anything.
David looks at the same listings. He could technically stretch and buy now. He almost does. He even starts the paperwork for a loan before pulling back at the last moment, deciding it's too soon while he's still rebuilding savings. A year later, that same house sells for significantly more. David feels a genuine pang of regret. He wonders more than once if he made a mistake. He didn't know yet whether waiting was the right call. Neither did we, watching him. Not yet. Instead, he splits his savings across a few things, some in a fixed deposit for stability, a small amount in gold, and the rest continuing into his index funds. 2 years pass. The economy begins to recover quietly, without headlines announcing the exact day it happened. Anna finally pays off her credit card debt. She gets a modest promotion. For the first time in 2 years, she messages her old friend group back. Life feels stable again. David's freelance work, the thing he almost quit, slowly turns into a small side business. He signs his first real contract with a mid-sized client. It's the first time it feels like more than a side hustle. Neither of their stories are dramatic yet, just months, then years of small decisions stacking on top of each other. At this point, it's genuinely hard to say who's doing better. That question is about to get an answer nobody expects. 6 years after that Friday afternoon, Anna and David run into each other, completely by accident, at a coffee shop near their old office. Anna is doing well. She's in a senior marketing role now. Her investments have quietly grown alongside a disciplined saving habit she built after that scare with debt. She's finally planning to buy her first home next year. David mentions, almost as an afterthought, that his small side business has grown into a design studio with 12 employees. When Anna asks what it's worth now, he hesitates, then tells her, roughly 2.5 crore rupees. Anna is stunned. Not jealous, genuinely happy for him, but stunned. Here's the part worth pausing on. David didn't become wealthy because a recession happened. He became wealthy because the recession forced him to build a new skill, diversify his income beyond one salary, and stay consistent for 6 straight years, through months where he wanted to quit, through a house he regretted not buying, through market drops that scared him just as much as they scared everyone else. The recession didn't hand David that outcome. His decisions, made mostly when nobody was watching, did.
Their old manager eventually left the shrinking company and started a small consultancy of his own. The company that laid Anna off never fully recovered to its old size. Anna, meanwhile, is exactly where she wants to be, stable, growing, about to buy her first home. Nobody in this story lost. They simply ended up in different places, shaped by choices most people would never even think to notice. The recession didn't decide who ended up ahead. It simply magnified every decision each of them made. The emergency fund David happened to have. The debt Anna picked up surviving a gap in income. The skill David almost stopped learning. The friend Anna avoided out of shame. The rent David negotiated just by asking. The sip Anna forgot to cancel. The house David regretted not buying. The index funds he kept adding to, even when he wanted to stop. None of these, on their own, made anyone a millionaire. But wealth was never really about one big decision.
It was built from dozens of small, unremarkable ones, repeated consistently, even when nobody was watching or applauding. If a recession comes tomorrow, you won't be able to control it, but you'll get to choose whether you're the person who disappears or the person who quietly keeps making the next right decision, even when it's small, even when it's boring, even when nobody's watching. Your future isn't built by one big decision. It's built by the small ones you repeat when nobody is watching.